In my last few videos, I talked about my WWE tryout, making it to Florida Championship Wrestling, and what it was like wrestling at Florida Championship Wrestling. Now, I'm going to talk about what it was like on Season 1 of NXT. I'm going to talk about when I got called up, and I'm going to talk about everything all the way up until the finale episode. I remember the moment we found out that we were going to be called up. It was a Wednesday, and it was right after promo class. They called us into the room, into the main arena where we do promos, and Johnny Ace was there. And he wanted to talk to us about something. So everybody was nervous because whenever Johnny showed up, I mean, this is The Office. Like, you have to be on your best behavior. You gotta look great. And but also it also meant that some people might not be there the next day. Like, some guys were gonna be fired. That's just the way it is. There's a lot of turnover. FCW, if you don't show that you're improving or you have any aptitude for this to make it to the main roster, they cut you and they bring in new people to try. So everybody was kind of nervous, and we did not know what Johnny was going to say. So Johnny gets before the entire roster, the coaches, everybody, and he starts saying that explaining that WWE is going to have a new show that is going to replace ECW. So basically, ECW was on Syfy at that time, and ECW was ending, but WWE was still going to hold that time slot, and there was going to be a new show that was going to take its place. And the new show was going to be called NXT. And then he was explaining to us that it was basically about which wrestlers are going to be next, like the next breakout stars. That's what it was supposed to be. So then he explained that it was going to be a reality competition show. Now, I'm sitting there already thinking, I came straight from I Love New York too. So I'm from reality TV. I'm like, well, it's interesting. It's kind of cool that they're stepping into this. All right. And then Johnny he says, and now I'm going to read off the list of talent who will be making the show. And he starts reading the names, and, Wade Barrett. Oh, I could totally see that. Skip Sheffield, Justin Gabriel. I'm happy to hear that. That's my buddy. Michael Tarver. I'm happy to hear that. That's T. That's my really good friend. And they're going down through him, and he says David Otunga. What? Wait, and he just kept going like it was normal. And I remember whoever was sitting next to me, gave me like a pound or like on my leg or something like that, like saying, like congrats. And I just like zoned out. I was like, wait, he just said me? And then, it was just this overwhelming wave of excitement. Like, I'm trying to sit there, I'm taking this all in, and I just have a big smile on my face. I'm trying to pay attention to what they're saying now. And the thing of it is, this might have been 2 weeks, 3 weeks, like before the show premiered. Like, this was not very much time before the premiere. And so I remember then, the practice was over, and we had a show the next day. I vividly remember the car ride home and this conversation with Michael Tarver. Now, Michael Tarver was one of my absolute best friends at FCW, and him and I are still tight. I remember this conversation so well. So I drove him to practice because we didn't live far from each other, so I would drive him. And so we got in the car to go home, and I remember, T, I'm like, yo, can you believe this? And I remember he wasn't excited. And he's like, man, he's in a bad mood. I'm like, whoa, Tarver, what's wrong with you? Like, yo, hey, man, we just found out we're getting called up. Like, I don't know how you could not be excited right now. And he's like, man, they never gave me a shot at the FCW championship. I was like, what? Bro, it should have been mine. You know that. And the thing of it is, he was not wrong. But the time, who cares? The FCW championship, bro, what are you talking about? We just got called up to the main roster. I don't care about the FCW championship. In fact, you know what was wild? At that time, I don't think I'd even debuted on FCW TV, on the FCW TV show. I don't even think I'd had a match on there yet. But guess what? I was going to have a match on the new NXT, the new show on national television. I don't care about the local Tampa network and FCW. I'm about to be on national TV, worldwide. And T, you are going to be there with me. We're both doing this. Who cares about the FCW championship? Anyway, it just was something that always stuck out to me because that was Tarver. Like, you know, he wanted things a certain way, and he felt that he couldn't go on. He had unfinished business there. But I always just remember that that reaction. And also, like, finding this out, this was amazing. And I'll tell you why. Like, look, FCW is a great opportunity, but when you're there, it was not fun. Like, you wanted to be on the main roster. You wanted to get out of there as soon as you could. But looking back on it, you know, yeah, there were fun times, but at the time, nah, you want to get to the main roster. But this put me in a weird spot because on the one hand, yeah, I wanted to get out of FCW, but on the other hand, I need to learn how to wrestle first. Like, I'm being honest here. And at this time, I only had about 12 or 13 months experience. I'd only been there like a year. And within that year, I had only had a handful of wrestling matches, like less than 20. I'm being serious. And they were now going to have me on national TV. But let me explain to you what FCW is about, if you don't realize. The point of this is for future superstars to train. So you practice here at FCW, and on the FCW shows, you're allowed to make mistakes because people know you're students, you're learning, right? I needed that because I just started. I need to make some mistakes, right, before I get to the main roster and the national TV level. Well, they didn't afford me that opportunity. Instead, I was going to be on national TV, terrified of making mistakes up there that I still need to get out of my system. But hey, here I am. You're not going to turn that down. I was talking with Norman Smiley, and I was telling him that while this is, obviously a great opportunity for me, I'm kind of nervous because I still am not confident in my wrestling ability. I just started. I've barely been there a year. I've only had a handful of matches, and that's terrifying to be on national TV live and performing something that I'm not super confident in yet. But at the same time, like, I know I have to do this. And the other thing is, now this is my call up. So my career kind of hinges on this. And to put even more pressure on it, they're using me to launch a new show that's going to replace ECW in that time slot. So this was a lot of pressure because out of all the contestants on NXT, they were using me to be the face of it because I did have a name coming from I Love New York 2, my story. And so they felt I was great on camera. I was comfortable being in front of the camera, and I gave a great promo. I like to talk. I'm a Harvard-educated lawyer. Like I was paid to talk. I went to school to talk. So very, very comfortable doing that. And it was great, but it was a lot of pressure. I remember that. And I remember, like, as soon as I got called up and we started for this, it was a whirlwind. And I got to see what it was like to be not only a WWE superstar, but like a top WWE superstar, because when it came to NXT that season, I was the man. I was doing all of the press. And I remember doing press with The Miz and I. They had us go to like the Syfy Out Front, this Hollywood party in New York. And we represented WWE. We were on the red carpet. Like, it was amazing. Then I was flown to LA and I was meeting with Maria Menounos, and I was on Extra. I was everywhere. And it was all interviews with me just selling the show and promoting it. And I was comfortable doing this, and I did a great job. I know they were really, really happy with it. But also, this is time that's taking away from me being in the ring and learning to perfect my craft, which I was trying to do. Like, I'm still trying to get better. I'm still trying to get a handle on this because I'm going to have to perform live in front of everybody and do this. And I want it to be at a certain level. I want to be confident. I don't want to be nervous out there, because you can't, in my mind, you can't portray or perform how you want to if you're worried about, the moves, which is like in acting, I can't act like my character needs to if I'm worried about remembering the lines. It's a very similar situation. So basically, I need to go review my lines, practice the moves. And let's be honest here, WWE knew what they were doing. They just wanted me on the show whether I could wrestle or not, because they knew that people would watch if I was on the show. Let me put things in perspective for you. The final episode of ECW had 1.445 million viewers. The final episode of I Love New York 2 had 4.85 million viewers. They knew what they were getting with me. I was must-see TV. And so they knew that as long as I was on screen every week, I would draw ratings and help keep NXT afloat. Growing up, I'd seen Tough Enough before, and that was WWE's reality show where they took people who'd never wrestled before and taught them some wrestling training, and at the end would give one of them a roster spot. And Maven won that, who was my pick. That was the guy I was rooting for. Shout out to Maven. That's my guy. Also, we got some stuff coming up, a collaboration. You guys should see very, very soon. But Tough Enough, yeah, I was familiar with Tough Enough. Maven, obviously, the winner of the first season, and also The Miz, coming from Tough Enough. So I was kind of curious as to if NXT was going to be in that vein. That's what I expected. However, they were telling us it was going to be live. And it was going to be live every week and in the arena. So we couldn't film training sessions or things backstage. What are we going to do live in the arena? And it's a competition show. So the interesting thing about this also, I don't know if people realize, but it was a reality show to us, the contestants. Things were hidden from us. That, they kayfabed us. I don't know why. I don't know why. Because, okay, listen, everybody. WWE is predetermined. It's sports entertainment. So the wrestlers know who's going to win. They know what's going to happen in each segment. But in NXT, we did not. The wrestlers did not know. We did not know what was going to happen in each segment. We didn't even know what the segments were going to be. When they have the segment where we do the promo battle and they're giving us a word, we didn't know what those words are going to be. I promise you. Those are honest to God, organic, just answers. And that's exactly why some of them weren't very good. You could tell that some of them the guys were making this up on the fly because it sounded like it. Luckily, I'm good at talking and thinking on my feet, and being a lawyer, so I was able to do well with that. But the other guys, they were not. And then you start to wonder from a performance standpoint and how you're presenting the product. You don't want your wrestlers up there making a fool of themselves because they weren't prepared on a word. They don't know how, they can't think on their feet like that. Whereas it could be somebody who could be a future superstar, but also they're not ever going to have to do this on Raw or SmackDown. They would be given a promo and rehearsal. I don't understand what the point of this was. But anyway, I'm glad that I did well in it. I mean, hey, I feel sorry for my buddies who weren't that good at it because it just made me look better. But it is what it is on that. But all of that stuff, the games, carrying the kegs, we never knew what they were going to have us do from week to week or even show to show. And I don't know what the point of it was because I don't know if the audience realized that. I mean, the audience is supposed to believe, everything is real and on the fly, but I'm sure the audience knows, hey, they're working, this is entertainment, it's predetermined. But that NXT was not. That was as legit as it gets. Prior to that very first episode of NXT that we did live, we had an audience that was easily over 10,000 people. I don't know how much it was, 16,000, whatever it was. But that was the first time I'd ever performed in front of an audience of that size or anywhere near that size. I mean, at FCW, I'd only had a handful of matches, and I think our match audience, hey, we'd have been lucky to get 100 people. I'm being honest with you, and that's generous. Maybe 80. I don't know. And half of them were family and friends. But it's something entirely different being in front of a live crowd of that many people. And to be honest with you, you either sink or swim. And I turned into Michael Phelps because it was something about the crowd. Like, I wanted to do this so long, I just was comfortable. And it wasn't nerves. It was more like, I can't wait for you guys to see what I can do. Let me get this mic. Let me say something. But it was still an amazing feeling, and I'll always remember that. It's different from TV when you know you're in front of millions of people. Like, I knew that on I Love New York too, but at the time, there's not that interaction, and like you don't feel their energy, the immediate feedback. Where it's very, very different just being in front of a live crowd of that size. You either sink or swim if you're in front of a crowd that size for the first time. And while I had nerves of steel, like, I relished this. In fact, I think that the crowd made me improve my game, made me even sharper. That wasn't the same, for my competitors. Like, I couldn't say the same thing. One of them in particular was Bryan. And Bryan Danielson is an amazing wrestler. Like, I've come to find out, this guy, they said he's the best in the world. He's pretty freaking good, but he just wasn't that strong in promos. And like, he used to really get in his head about it. And I know that being out in front of that crowd, he would get really nervous. And he'd always give like a nervous laugh, like whatever. That was his tell. But I mean, he was a heck of a wrestler, but it's a terrifying thing for a lot of people to be, public speaking and in front of 10,000 people live, not to mention potentially millions around the country, millions if I was on the show. I got paired with R-Truth to be my pro, and I was to be his rookie. And I never met him before. The first time I ever met R-Truth was the very first day that we had NXT, the pilot episode, Season 1. And I met him backstage. And Ronnie's awesome. We clicked immediately. Like, he's super cool. And to be honest with you, hope I'm not ruining this for you, but they paired us with pros. That doesn't mean they actually treated us like mentors and we were mentees. Like, this was just for a show. So, like, I don't even know if The Miz and Daniel Bryan talked, to be honest with you, except for when it was on TV. I mean, the funny thing about it is, what was The Miz going to mentor Daniel Bryan on in terms of wrestling? The Miz is a great talker. He was like me. He came from reality TV and was really comfortable in front of the camera. So to be perfectly honest, he really could mentor, Bryan in giving promos. And that probably was the reasoning there. But as you see, I don't think Miz really mentored Bryan, at least not enough that season. Hey, it is what it is. But Ronnie was cool, and obviously, like, he told me, hey man, if you ever need anything, I got you. Come to me. And Ronnie and I are still cool to this day. In fact, here's a little known fact for you. The last wrestling match I had, the most recent one, was against R-Truth. It's against Ronnie. Yeah, fun little factoid for you. Ronnie and I clicked immediately, and it was always fun working with him. And then eventually, I remember I won a challenge and I got to choose any opponent. Now, initially, I wanted to choose The Undertaker, but I was like, wait, are you guys serious? Can I really choose any opponent? And they were like, well, yeah. And so I wanted to choose Undertaker, but I'm smart enough to know, okay, I could choose him, but there's no way they're going to let me wrestle Taker. They're going to throw some kind of curveball and they're going to choose my opponent. So basically, I'm wasting my choice. But then I thought, what would really be cool and really get some heat? I'm going to choose my own pro. So that was my own idea. And I know they love that and it made for a great storyline. But yeah, that was actually my own idea. And it was really cool. Let me tell you how much NXT Season 1 really was a reality show. Like I was saying, WWE is scripted. However, in this show, things weren't always scripted, and they would just make things up on the fly. Improv, if you will. One example in particular, I'm in the ring having a match, and I think I was supposed to go over. I'm not even sure. But the referee whispers to me, hey, you're going to lose. R-Truth is going to cost you the match, or at least you blame R-Truth for it. So after you get pinned, he's going to get in the ring, and when he gets in the ring, shove him. But he doesn't know you're going to do this. So I'm like, okay. Now, mind you, I've only been wrestling 14 months at this point, and so I'm very, very new. I'm as green as you get. So the match is over. Ronnie comes in, to congratulate me. He's actually being nice. Like, hey, man, you did good, whatever. And I just shove him, 2 hands right in the chest, as hard as I can. He's like, whoa. And he's looking at me crazy. What the heck's wrong with you? And I'm playing, I'm selling it. And I turn around and get up. And the whole time I'm thinking, as I walk to the back, I'm like, man, I'm going to have to explain to him, hey, Ronnie, they told me to do that. Obviously, sorry, man, but they told me to do that, right? So we get in the back. All of a sudden, I'm ambushed by a camera. And then here comes Ronnie. And he comes back. Now, I haven't had a chance to explain to him, hey, Ronnie, they told me to shove you. So I don't get a chance to say that. And now he's confronting me on camera. So I'm still in character too. Next thing you know, Ronnie puts his hands over there. He tries shoving me back. So then we're tussling. In my mind, I promise you, I don't know if we're really fighting or not. I don't know. And so I'm like, wait, because Ronnie is pissed. I just shoved him and he doesn't know. But now this is a reality show. I love New York too. Hey, we really fought on there. So what's going on now? Because this isn't part of the script. This isn't pre-planned. Also, they didn't even teach me how to throw wrestling punches yet. I don't know what we're doing. And I think Ronnie is really fighting me. So my instinct was, let me just grab him up because I'm stronger than him so he can't hit me. And I'm going to take him down and try to get control of him. So at least that way, you can't tell if we're really fighting or we're working. And then I kind of realized, well, we're on camera. I think we're working. So then I started cracking jokes and saying stuff. But I thought he was really pissed and really trying to fight me. But afterwards, no, he wasn't. It was cool, thankfully. But this is just how green I was, and I remember this vividly. Vince was standing right there, just offside, away from the camera. He loved this, and he gave a belly laugh, and he was teasing Ronnie, and he was like, "Oh, the kid took you down. You couldn't. He got you out of that one, Ronnie. You couldn't get up." Oh, he just laid into it. But it was, man, that was so funny. I want to thank you for the incredible growth of my channel. Man, this has been a blessing. I can't believe we're growing so fast. And I've been listening to you. So now, starting December 1st, I'm going to start offering channel memberships. I'm going to have at least 2 tiers. So for you guys, thank you for the support. And now you can be part of my channel and help it grow, help shape the direction. But also, starting December 1st, I'm going to rewatch NXT Season 1 live. So join my memberships and watch along with me. Being called up to NXT meant that now we were going to travel the entire country or the world instead of just Florida. But it really wasn't all that different because in Florida, I used to give guys, rides. I used to drive Tarver all the time. He's, one of my best friends. And then in NXT, we all had to ride together. There was 8 of us. And so the office would provide 2 rental cars for us. And so 4 of us would be in one car, 4 of us would be in the other. And then we had to have roommates at each hotel. So I usually was paired up with Tarver and Heath Slater. They would be the 2 with me a lot. Oh, Justin Gabriel also. But anyway, I just remember riding. Tarver was notorious. He had a sweet tooth. And for whatever reason, the office was on him about eating candy. Tarver was always in shape, but it was more like a rib. They were teasing. And I remember, he would try to get away with it. Then we'd stop at a gas station. We'd go, I'm going to get some trail mix. I'm like, all right. He would get trail mix and take everything out of the bag. He would throw it out except for, the M&Ms. So he just bought a bag of M&Ms, but, called it trail mix. But, man, it was funny. But I remember that a lot. Man, Heath and I had some time at those hotels. Just funny, man. Yeah, but anyway, it would be 4 of us all jammed in a car. I usually drove. I like to drive, and I was the best driver out of all of us. Plus, hey, look, I didn't trust Heath behind the wheel, being honest with you. So I knew at least if I was trying, we were going to make it there. We were going to be all right. All the segments on NXT were produced by the regular roster of producers who produced Raw and SmackDown. So it really was just treated like a third show, or kind of like Superstars, something like that. So it was my first time working with the agents and producers who I would end up working with on Raw and SmackDown. So I was on a developmental contract, as everybody was, while we were on season 1 of NXT. And the carrot that they dangled in front of us is, if you win NXT, you get a main roster contract. And they didn't say anything about the guys who didn't win. So presumably, that was your shot, you're fired. That was the understanding. But we were on developmental contracts all the way until after Nexus. After about the second or third week, when they realized that Nexus was going to be a success, that's when they offered us main roster contracts. Going into that final episode of NXT, it was myself, Justin Gabriel, and Wade Barrett. And nobody had told us anything that was going to happen. We obviously didn't know the outcome beforehand, but even then, we didn't know what was going to happen after that, like to the two people who didn't win. Like, they never told us anything. And so that night, I was runner-up, and I didn't know what my fate was going to be. Like, in my mind, I'm thinking, they would be crazy to fire me because I'm runner-up. Like, I should have won. If I'm being honest here, I won, but, storyline-wise, they gave it to Wade. Good guy, but I'm just being honest here. So they'd be crazy to fire me, but at the same time, I don't know. Like, they just didn't say anything, and they're being weird. I don't know what the plan is. And so that's why the next week, when they called us all to TV, and this ended up being the debut of the Nexus, we were terrified because we were under the impression that we all got called to TV to be fired. And nobody talked to us all day, so it kind of seemed like whatever they had to tell us wasn't necessarily going to be good. And let's not forget that this was season 1 of NXT, and this could have been an experiment. Because ECW wasn't getting the best ratings. They took it off the air and replaced it with this. So who's to say that we weren't like the Suicide Squad? You know what I mean? Like, hey, let's throw them out there, see what happens. If they make something of it, great. If they don't, fire them. So that's, we didn't know. We didn't know if there was going to be a season 2 of NXT. We didn't know if there was going to be anything in that time slot. We just knew nothing. I don't know what the reason was, but they would never tell the guys in NXT. They would never tell us anything. And I think that's something that we always carried with us. We always had this chip on our shoulder that we carried into being the Nexus and even into our own individual careers. I would say that the superstars who rounded out NXT Season 1 were amongst the most talented and still are today. And I don't know. I don't know if I feel like everybody got their just due. I mean, obviously, Bryan went on to win the championship, but he's the only one. And as far as I'm concerned, I think everybody on NXT Season 1, all 8, should have been future champions and, held individual titles multiple times over. And potentially, everybody had the potential to be a Hall of Famer, or WWE Hall of Famer, I'll tell you that. But I don't know if it's just that it was the Nexus, or it's what bonded us, but we all kind of have just a different mentality than the rest of the locker room, and in that we know our worth. I think we went through so much together, and that a lot of people were jealous of us just for that, to be honest with you, but we just wouldn't settle for just anything. So I feel like there was still a lot left to the story. And I mean, hey, we're still young, so who knows? We're still writing our story, to be honest. I remember one time I did go to the Performance Center, and this is one of the times I was training for an in-ring return. And this is actually really cool. They let me cut a promo, and they had promo class. And Regal was overseeing it, and Matt Bloom was there too. And so I waited and let everybody cut a promo. I knew I was going to cut a promo. I wanted to do it last. I didn't have to, but I wanted to. And so I waited. I let everybody, cut their promos. And Enzo went last. He cuts a great promo. I don't know if he knows that, but we ended up having beef after this, I think. But like he was my favorite. So he cut his promo and you know, he says whatever, real recognize real, and we're the realest guys in the room, whatever it is, bada boom. So then Regal was like, that's it. And I said, oh, do you mind if I cut a promo? He said, oh, sure. You know, please, Abe. So I get up and I started with, if real recognize real, how come I don't recognize anybody in here but myself? And then I went into telling them how I'm the original member of NXT, or the person who started NXT, launched this on the network. I was the one who they used to sell NXT. Basically, they were all here because of me. Basically, they were all my sons and should thank me for even being here, watching their promo class, whatever. But it was a hell of a promo. But anyway, and then when I was done, I love this. I remember I was done. Regal looks over to Matt Bloom and he goes, send that one to the office, please. That was it. So I knew I smoked it. But shout out to Enzo. Yeah, man. But I was trying to put him over by using his promo and then to start mine because I thought he was the best of them. So stay tuned because in the next video, I'm gonna discuss the finals of NXT Season 1, how that all went down, and then what was gonna happen next.